Welcome to our midweek meeting for this week, March 24th to 30th, 2025. Let us begin with the consideration of treasures from God's Word. Dear friends, today I invite you to join me in reflecting on a simple yet profound lesson from nature, a lesson drawn from one of God's smallest creatures, the ant. As we delve into the words of Proverbs 6:6 that say, "Go to the ant, you lazy one, observe its ways and become wise," we discover that this tiny insect offers us a mirror to examine our own diligence, cooperation, and preparedness. The ant, despite having no ruler or commander, instinctively labors with persistence and determination. It teaches us that wisdom often flows not from complex reasoning, but from the instinctive design imparted by our Creator. Consider Proverbs 6, 7, and 8, which further declares, "Although it has no commander, officer, or ruler, it prepares its food in the summer and gathers its food supplies in the harvest." This vivid imagery shows us an ant's natural ability to plan ahead, storing up provisions when the season is right, much like the harvester ant, Mesor semirufus, found in Palestine. This species diligently gathers grain during times of abundance to sustain its colony when resources are scarce. Just as the ant tirelessly creates well-worn paths and meticulously cleans its nest, while even aiding injured comrades, we too are encouraged to develop habits that honor God by preparing for the future and caring for one another. The lessons do not end there. Solomon's wise counsel in Proverbs 6, 9-11 strikes a chord with anyone who has ever struggled with indolence that say, "How long, you lazy one, will you lie there? When will you rise up from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumbering, a little folding of the hands to rest, and your poverty will come like a bandit, and your want like an armed man." Through these two powerful rhetorical questions, the King challenges us to awaken from our spiritual and physical slumber. How long will we permit ourselves to be idle? How long will we neglect our responsibilities, thereby inviting poverty and want into our lives? These questions are meant not to condemn, but to motivate, urging us to break free from laziness, to engage wholeheartedly in our work, our studies, and our ministry. The ant's industriousness is not a matter of enforced discipline by a superior. Rather, it is an instinctual drive imbued by God Himself. In our own lives, whether at school, at work, or in our spiritual endeavors, we can learn from the ant's example by consistently striving to fulfill our responsibilities. As Ecclesiastes 3:13, 22, and 5:18 remind us, there is deep satisfaction and personal reward in diligent work. A clean conscience and the joy of productive effort are blessings that follow the path of hard work, a path that ultimately pleases our Creator. Furthermore, by emulating the ant, we not only secure our own well-being but also become better equipped to serve in God's service. Just as the ant cooperates seamlessly within its colony, we are called to foster unity and mutual support within our congregation. Our efforts in personal study, ministry, and service to others not only prepare us for life's inevitable challenges, but also set a shining example for those around us. In conclusion, let us heed the ant's wisdom as presented in Proverbs. Let us rise early, work diligently, and store up spiritual treasures as well as material provisions. By doing so, we affirm that true wisdom is not solely the product of intellectual pursuit, but also of faithful, consistent, and cooperative action. May the lesson of the ant inspire us to be proactive, organized, and compassionate, always striving to honor Jehovah in every facet of our lives. Welcome, brothers, to Spiritual Gems for this week, March 24th to 30th, 2025. We begin with the first question. Are the sins mentioned in these verses intended to be a complete and detailed list of all the things Jehovah hates? No, the sins listed in these verses are not meant to be exhaustive. As the commentary points out, the structure 6 Yes 7 is a Hebrew idiomatic way of indicating that this list represents types of behavior Jehovah hates, but is not a complete catalog of every possible wrongdoing. Human wrongdoing continues to increase in many forms, so these verses highlight key categories of thought, speech, and action that are detestable to God rather than providing a final or all-inclusive list. Next question. What spiritual gems from this week's Bible reading would you like to share? Proverbs 6:6. Go to the ant, you lazy one. Observe its ways and become wise. Lesson. This verse teaches us the value of hard work and self-motivation. By watching how ants diligently gather food and cooperate, we learn to avoid laziness and cultivate discipline in our own service to Jehovah. Proverbs 6:7 and 8. It has no commander, officer, or ruler. Still, it prepares its food in the summer. Lesson. Even without direct supervision, ants take initiative. This reminds us that as servants of Jehovah, we do not need constant oversight to remain motivated in our personal study, meeting attendance, or sharing the good news. Proverbs 6:9 and 10. How long will you lie there? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands. Lesson. Excessive rest can lead to neglect of spiritual goals. This encourages us to be balanced, enjoy proper rest, but not let leisure stop us from accomplishing necessary tasks, such as personal Bible study and congregation responsibilities. Proverbs 6:11. Your poverty will come like a bandit, and your need like an armed man. Lesson. Laziness and procrastination can bring sudden hardship. Spiritually, if we ignore Bible counsel or wait too long to cultivate our relationship with Jehovah, we might face serious consequences when trials arise. Proverbs 6:16. There are 6 things that Jehovah hates. Lesson. This introduction underscores how Jehovah has strong moral standards. Keeping in mind what he hates helps us align our thoughts, actions, and speech with his will so we can maintain his favor. Proverbs 6:17. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue. Lesson. Pride and dishonesty disrupt unity and damage our relationship with God. Cultivating humility, honesty, and integrity safeguards our friendships in the congregation and honors Jehovah's name. Proverbs 6:18. A heart that plots wicked schemes and feet that run quickly to evil. Lesson. This reminds us to guard our hearts. Negative thoughts, desires, or entertainment can lead us to act against Bible principles. By filling our minds with spiritual truths, we avoid giving in to harmful impulses. Proverbs 6:19. A false witness who lies with every breath, and anyone sowing contentions among brothers. Lesson. Dishonesty and stirring up trouble damage unity within the congregation. Jehovah values peace and brotherly love. Thus, we seek to be truthful, kind, and supportive of fellow believers. Proverbs 6:20. My son, keep your father's commandment and do not forsake your mother's instruction. Lesson. Respecting parental guidance can be a protection from harm. Likewise, we benefit from mature counsel in the congregation, valuing advice from elders and spiritually mature brothers and sisters who want us to succeed. Proverbs 6:22. When you walk about, it will lead you. When you lie down, it will stand guard over you. Lesson. God's principles guide every part of our life if we keep them in our heart. By meditating on Jehovah's instructions and applying them diligently, we receive constant protection and direction in all we do. Congregation Bible Study, March 24th to 30th, 2025. Analysis with question and answer. Let's start by answering the questions from the paragraphs. 7. 8. What arrangements did Claudius Lysias make for Paul's safety? Upon discovering the conspiracy against Paul, Claudius Lysias arranged for a large military escort, totaling 470 armed men, foot soldiers, spearmen, and cavalry, to accompany Paul out of Jerusalem during the night. He sent Paul to Caesarea, the Roman administrative center of Judea, to be placed under the protection of Governor Felix. Lysias also wrote a letter explaining that Paul, as a Roman citizen, was not guilty of a crime deserving death or imprisonment. These measures were designed to keep Paul safe from those plotting to kill him and to ensure he would receive a proper hearing. 9. A. How were Paul's rights as a Roman citizen violated? Paul's rights as a Roman citizen were violated when he was subjected to harsh treatment without proper legal procedure. Specifically, he was bound with 2 chains and ordered to be interrogated under scourging. These actions disregarded the legal protections that Roman citizenship afforded him, which were meant to prevent such abuses. 9.b. Why might we take advantage of our rights as citizens of a country? We might take advantage of our rights as citizens because these rights are designed to protect us from unjust treatment, ensure fair legal processes, and uphold our dignity. By asserting our rights, we can seek protection and justice when those rights are threatened or violated, just as Paul later leveraged his status to secure his legal protection. 10. What serious accusations were leveled against Paul? Paul was accused of stirring up sedition among all the Jews throughout the inhabited earth, being the spearhead of the dangerous sect of the Nazarenes and attempting to profane the temple. These charges were serious, as they carried the potential penalty of death. 11 and 12. How did Paul refute the charges against him? Paul refuted the charges by clearly denying each accusation and providing evidence of his honorable conduct. He asserted that he had neither defiled the temple nor incited sedition. To support his defense, Paul explained that he had been absent from Jerusalem for many years and had arrived bearing gifts of mercy, contributions meant to aid fellow Christians suffering from famine and persecution. Additionally, he emphasized that before entering the temple, he had been ceremonially cleansed, thereby showing respect for sacred traditions and maintaining a clear conscience before both God and men. Furthermore, while Paul acknowledged that he rendered sacred service to the God of his forefathers in a manner that some might recognize as belonging to a sect, he clarified that his beliefs were fully consistent with the law and the prophets, including the hope of a resurrection for both the righteous and the unrighteous. Finally, he challenged his accusers by inviting them to identify any specific wrongdoing in his conduct, aside from his testimony regarding the resurrection, thus reinforcing the inconsistency in their charges. Now we move on to the analysis of the box. Felix, procurator of Judea. What was significant about Antonius Felix's appointment as procurator of Judea? Felix's appointment was unprecedented because he was a freedman, a former slave of the emperor's family, who was given a high-ranking position with military command. Appointed around 52 CE by Emperor Claudius, his rise to the role of procurator of Judea highlights both the influence of the emperor's family, especially his brother Pallas, and a shift in the traditional Roman administrative hierarchy. Next question. How did Felix's conduct during his tenure affect his administration, and what were the resulting consequences? Felix's administration was marked by corruption and cruelty. He exploited his power by committing various atrocities and acts of lust, and he notably seduced and married Drusilla, the daughter of Herod Agrippa III, despite her marital status. His corrupt behavior extended to his treatment of the Apostle Paul, whom he mishandled for potential bribery. Such mismanagement and oppressive rule led to widespread dissatisfaction, prompting Emperor Nero to recall him in 58 CE, with a deputation of Jews even accusing him of misgovernment, though his brother Pallas ultimately saved him from punishment.